Yes, so the topic of my presentation is sepsis due to infected necrotic fibroid after uterine artery embolization, a rare but serious complication. Objective of this case report is to highlight a rare but serious complication of uterine artery embolization, sepsis secondary to infected necrotic fibroid tissue, and to emphasize the importance of early recognition, multidisciplinary management, and appropriate follow-up in post-uterine artery embolization patients. So a 48-year-old para-4 woman underwent bilateral uterine artery embolization on 15th of January for a large Vigo type 3 submucosal intramural fibroid, which was 11.2 centimeter in maximum dimension, aiming to avoid surgery. She presented on 9th of February with a 3-day history of increasing lower abdominal pain, offensive for vaginal discharge with dark tissue, and acute onset of vomiting, diarrhea, and fever. Examination revealed tenderness without peritonism. She remained hemodynamically stable. She was commenced on broad-spectrum IV antibiotics. Blood cultures confirmed Enterococcus faecalis sepsis. Imaging confirmed an embolized fibroid, which was 10 into 6 into 7.4 centimeter. Bedside removal of necrotic fibroid tissue prolapsing through the cervix was performed using endoloop sutures. The patient's condition improved with antibiotics and removal of necrotic tissue. She was discharged on oral antibiotics to complete her treatment. Histopathology confirmed necrosis. Her recovery afterwards was uneventful. So in discussion of this case report, I would highlight a few important points. Uterine artery embolization is a minimally invasive and effective alternative to surgery for managing symptomatic uterine fibroids, particularly in women desiring uterine preservation. However, it carries potential risks, including rare but serious infectious complications, such as endometritis and sepsis, just as in this case report. The incidence of infection post-uterine artery embolization varies, with studies reporting rates ranging from 1.2 to 17%. Severe infections necessitating emergent hysterectomy occur in approximately 0.25 to 1.6% of cases. Differentiating post-embolization syndrome, which was one of the differential from infection, is crucial, as post-embolization syndrome typically resolves within 24 to 48 hours and does not require antibiotics, whereas infection present later may include offensive discharge, persistent fever, and systemic signs. Management of infected necrotic fibroid tissue includes broad-spectrum antibiotics and source control, which may involve removal of prolapsed fibroid fragments via the vagina, hysteroscopic resection, or in severe cases, hysterectomy. I would conclude by saying that sepsis following uterine artery embolization is rare, but potentially life-threatening. This case underscores the importance of early detection, patient education, and timely multidisciplinary management. Clinicians should maintain a high index of suspicion for infection in post-uterine artery embolization patients presenting with systemic symptoms, and management should focus on appropriate antimicrobial therapy and timely removal of necrotic tissue. As in this case, it was initially difficult. We were confused whether we should go ahead and do a hysterectomy for the patient, but patient was not very much inclined towards hysterectomy. She wanted to preserve her uterus because of the spiritual reasons. So we went ahead with the conservative management, which worked when she passed out the necrotic fibroid tissue and with antimicrobial antibiotics.